Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. I've got a fun video for us planned today. I'm going to be moving some plants around, doing a little transplanting, a little bit of dividing, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So my name is Soleil and I garden here in Michigan in a zone 5B. So welcome. Alright, so to get started, let's start working with this Pulmonaria. You guys, if you watch my channel, you know I love Pulmonaria. And right now I have just put some into this bed. These are all the same kind. These are pretty in pink, and I'm loving how they look right here. And I was able to just get this recent plant as part of my sale find. So what I'm going to do is divide this a little bit, but I want to put it right here where these hostas are. I kind of think of these as my filler hostas. So I'm going to pull these out and I may plant them somewhere else later. So one of the things that I like to do is to try to create small groupings of plants, and it can be difficult to do if you're a little bit of a plant collector like me, because when you collect plants, right, you have lots of different varieties, and it can be an expensive habit. And so to get enough of them to create small groupings, you have to wait and be patient sometimes to be able to divide. So I get really excited when I get something that's on sale that I wanted a little bit more of, and I don't have to wait a whole nother year to divide these plants. I think I'm going to take out one more here. I might have to get my trusty hoary knife to help me with dividing this lungwort, but we'll see. Okay. All of these hostas look really nice and healthy. So I have a phlox that is right back here. It's hard to see. You can see I've cut it back quite severely, and that's because some of my plants were starting to get a little bit of powdery mildew, and that's something that can spread really quickly around the garden. So I wanted to cut them all back. So that one is down, but I do want to put some additional Pulmonaria in this area, just to kind of, again, continue the drift. I think I'm also going to actually have to move this little impatiens, which probably only has a couple more years on it, or years, a couple more weeks on its life anyways, because the frost will be coming. Although I must admit, I'm quite surprised when I look at the forecast here that there's still no frost in the forecast. So we're gonna have a bit of a long fall. Now I see there are some rather old leaves that are kind of sticking out here, so I'm just going to pinch those off before I do the division. And any of the leaves that are kind of bent over or broken, they won't do well after dividing anyways. So we're going to divide these Pulmonarias, we're going to plant them, and then I'm going to move some, I have some Heuchera that I want to move a little bit because of where they're at now, and this bed, they're kind of getting a little bit close to each other or being under a hosta, so I want to move them forward, a little bit more of an edger plant. Oh, the roots on this are really strong. I didn't expect that. I don't know if you can hear that helicopter going over our heads right now. I feel like we have had a lot more helicopter traffic in our area. I'm not sure if it's because there's people being transported, but my guess is it's related to, you know, medical issues. I think there's a flight path above our house from one of the hospitals to another one. Okay, I've got my trusty hoary knife here. I feel a little bit like I'm going to have to go medieval on this plant. There might be some torture involved. Alright, here goes nothing. Wow, this plant is tough. Might not want to be divided yet. Sometimes I try to cut through part way and then try to pry it the rest of the way because it helps to save the roots, but other times it's just not possible. Now I'm just going to be really gentle at separating these leaves out here. All right, just what I wanted is 2 plants. Perfect. And it looks like this leaf is going to be broken. So take that off. Then I'm going to plant 1 back here and 1 in the front here. Do you ever start a project and then kind of have a change in plans when you start planting? It happens to me a lot. Just got to take 1 more of these out. I was thinking I would put 1 back and 1 in front, but it just doesn't seem like there's enough room and it doesn't look quite right. So we're going to put them both along the edge here. And maybe next year when I have some more divisions, I can plant some more back here and it will just be 1 cohesive group of Pulmonaria, which would be awesome. I actually think this Pulmonaria would give me some additional divisions if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to torture it anymore today. I think it's had enough. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty guilty of putting plants too close together, but I think I've appropriately spaced these for now. So you can see I've planted these heucherellas along the front edge of the border on this path. And I have a couple additional heucheras. They're right here. I have 1 here and I have 1 back here. And what I'm going to do with those is just move those similarly up to the front of the border so they're kind of along the edge of the rocks as well. You can see, I think that this hosta that's behind it is probably going to take over and get nice and big next year. So I'm going to move this up to the front of the border. Hopefully it'll provide a little contrast and soft edging along the rocks. And here's the next one, kind of hiding as well underneath of this other hosta. And I'm just going to move it right up front here as well. This one has a really long root on it. Now if you know Heuchera, they kind of tend to get old and woody, so I'm just going to break that really long section of root off and stick it back in the ground here. And hopefully they will enjoy their new homes. All right, let's go move some Ajuga. Okay, so in this bed, I have quite a few different Ajugas, and what I'm doing right now is going to pull out these, what I call tricolor Ajugas, because they have 3 different colors on them. I'm going to pull these out because I don't think they really go with the rest of the bed, but I would really like to have them in a different area. And then I have some other ones that are of this darker color that I planted where I want these light ones also. So let's grab some of these out. All right, I think I got most of them. There's a couple more right here along the front. And before we plant these, I'm going to grab the other ones that I have that are dark foliage and bring them back to replace where I pulled these out of. All right. So this right here is where I planted some starts for the darker bugle weed, Ajuga. And I'm just going to pull these out. We're going to move them over there where the light colors are, because see, with these beautiful pink berries that I have on this coral bush, they don't really go with it very well. But obviously the other one will have a little bit more of a pinky purple color to it that I think will offset the coralberry bush. And this flax here, which you can see is the opening act flax, it will go very well with the colors there. Okay, I got a handful of these now. We're going to plop them right back where these colorful ones came out of. I missed one. And this will just blend in a whole lot nicer also with, I think, the rest of this bed. Sometimes when I'm in propagation mode, I propagate and put plants around the garden, and then I wait until a later date when I'm doing kind of design mode, and I come back through and I figure out how many plants do I have at the end of the season of what type, and where do I want to have them when I begin the year next year. So that's kind of what's happening right now, is the rearranging. And one more right down here. Okay, let's plant the colorful ones. Okay, so I'm going to put some of them in here, not all of them, because I do have one other place that I want to put them. But let's see how this turns out. I think it's going to be a whole lot better. Sometimes you visualize things in your mind and you think it's going to look good and it doesn't turn out the way you wanted. But I am going to get quite a few of them in here. One of the things that is important to think of when you're planting up against a wall like this is that the sun is in front of the wall, right? So anything that you plant in front of the wall is going to grow forward. It's going to grow towards the light and away from the wall. So planting these ajugas in front of this shrub are not going to probably come back to this area as quickly as they will grow forward. So I'm going to put a couple back here as well. And I think this is one of the things that can set gardens apart from time to time and protect you from some weeds is, you know, planting in areas like this, some of the corners that you need them in. Then I think we'll put one more right here in front. And these are so easy to divide, you guys. Let me just show you how quickly I do this. And you can make a lot of different plants out of them. Hopefully I picked one that will divide for you. Okay, just like that. This one feels like it might not be able to be divided further. Let's see. Yeah, so you only really need a little bit of root on these to be able to have them take, because they're a really tough plant. But that being said, they are not so aggressive that they are invasive in my area, so I just love to use them. I'm gonna leave some spaces between these because I just got my bulb order for my fall bulbs, and I think that would be a wonderful way to be able to just plant. And next year then this will grow up over them and the bulbs can go through them. It'll be beautiful. I'm still just pulling some of these apart. Just propagating because I can. All right, this one's gonna go right here. I think there might be some daffodils down under here. So the nice thing about these plants is they don't have super deep roots, so they really don't compete too much with bulbs or other plants that have deeper roots. I'm gonna put a few back behind this bush as well. All right, one of the other things that I'm doing here is, if you can come take a look behind my Pinky Winky hydrangea, is I'm starting to put some hostas and Ajuga back here. And those are the Patriot hostas. And what I'm doing by doing that is just continuing to fill in the area, making it look more lush and full. And I really like the way that this color of ground cover looks in this bed. So I'm just adding a couple more in front of this barberry. Because look at that, you guys. Doesn't that look nice? Like a pretty contrast. Sometimes this Ajuga almost looks like a flower in and of itself. I need just one more, so I'm going to divide this one really quick. And I'm going to put this one right in here. This stuff can kind of be walked on a little bit too, and this is kind of right where we go back to turn the heat pump on and off. And so it's nice to have something that looks pretty but that can be walked on right there. All right, next up is the Yarrow plant in the potager. We're gonna give this one a try. So this is a Yarrow plant that is a proven winner's, I believe it's called Amethyst Sky. It is a Yarrow that grows in full sun, and I put this in my way back garden, but now there is too much shade back there for it to thrive. So I'm just trying to revive it a little bit. You can see it's grown a lot of new little leaves. So I'm going to try it out in this spot where I get very little rain, there's very little nutrients, and it's not great soil. So I have a lot of trouble getting things to grow. I had planted some clematis. You may even notice that the trellis that I had on the wall is gone. I'm using it for another clematis, which I'll show you. So I'm going to plant this in the back. So the whole goal with this, again, is to have something that will soften this wall. And just look, this soil is, it's been raining a lot. It's slightly damp, but it's still pretty dry and dusty. So I probably don't even have to dig in very much at all to get into this. This is going to be a little bit wonky when I get it out of the pot because it was just really barely hanging on where it was at. All right, wonky plant number one. With a little bit of good soil around it. We'll try not to disturb the roots too much since it's kind of started coming back here, and we'll just cover it up. Pretty much looks like nothing at this point. hopefully it will like being in this dry, hot spot. You tell me, do you grow yarrow? Do you have any spots on the south side of your house that are dry and hot? Does it work for you? It's what it's supposed to do. I find that it's all a bit of trial and error with gardening. Sometimes it seems like you can put a plant exactly where it says that it will like it, and it will be very unhappy. Or you'll put it in a place where it's not supposed to like it, and it will thrive. It does make it a bit of a guessing game sometimes, but other times it just makes it fun. Gives you opportunities to make changes and try something different. It looks like I have just a teeny tiny one left. About over here. I also put some of this in my front sun garden, so it will be interesting to see how both of these do over the next year, because I can compare what their progress is based on their growing conditions. Well, in addition to the plantings that I just did, I've done a whole lot of other plantings, so I look forward to taking you on a little tour to show you where everything has been planted throughout the garden. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're enjoying this fall in your garden. See you next time. Bye!